Okay, next thing we're going to do is install the weapon into the chassis. The first step in installing the weapon is to uh, make the pivot rod. The pivot rod is made out of paperclip, and we'll be straightening it out and putting the V-bend in it in such a way that the V-bend will live in this bulkhead, or bulkhead's a good word for where a pivot rod or something that allows something else to move mounts. So grab our paperclip and we'll straighten out one bend and the whole second bend. Now, what we'll want here is we'll be feeding this through. We want to make sure that the paperclip does not stick out past the ends of the bulkhead, because we don't want it sticking out, snagging the tires, or scratching anybody. So what we can do is note, and there's plenty of room here to have it in there, so it doesn't even really need to get that close to the end. Now, one thing to be aware of is that even paper clips are fairly strong metal a lot of times, so you don't want to use really good flush cutters, but most needle nose and lots of other pliers have cutters at the bottom of the pliers, and those are generally not they're not flush, so the blade is much thicker. So there's our paper clip, and it's well within the two sides. You can do this with either flat jaw or standard needle nose. We'll use normal ones for now. So again, we want the V-bend to end up fully inside one of those bulkheads. So we'll just grab it about there, kick it up maybe 20 to 30 degrees, kick it back down, and then straighten it out. So that should actually be enough of a V-bend to retain that really well. And go ahead, insert it through one side, and then it'll go through the bottom pivot. And when you're pushing a paper clip, you want to make sure you don't stab yourself with it. So always good to grab close to where you're going and push. If you grab way back here, then if it did stop, you could bend it. You definitely don't want to have your finger over the end while you run this through. You want to make sure that if it does suddenly slip through, that it doesn't jab you squarely in the finger. So V-bend has pulled in. I am having to use a decent amount of force, so I know that it's going to stay well retained. When I look in the ends, I can see that it's not too close to that end. Push it a little bit further. So still not too close there, and fully inside this side, and it's not going to move on its own. So that's the pivot installed, and then the attaching the servo itself. This is where we will use one of the silver, which is a stainless steel machine screw, and use our standard driver. What we want to do here is go through, we'll go through the link first. The link is PLA plus, so it does not retain, I'd use a good one, it does not retain a screw nearly as well as the HDPE or even UHMW of a servo horn. And this I want to go ahead and intentionally strip, so I just kept driving it until the screw spins freely in the link. And these, I believe, are good to go into the longest hole in the servo horn. And what I'll do is run it in until it's snug, and then back it off a quarter. Again, the HDP or UHMW of the servo horns tends to retain screws really well, so it won't let it come loose or anything. Then we can make sure that it can close fully without the link hitting the top armor, and it'll also be able to open fully. So that is our weapon assembly installed.